105.7 The Hawk. Good morning, Tom Cunningham, celebrating the 40th anniversary of the release of Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run album, Born to Run at 40. And this morning, welcoming back to the program, it's Mike Appel. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Tom. Good to be here.
Always great to have you on. Now, in a couple of minutes, I'll be giving away passes for our live broadcast next Sunday at Martell's. And I was just telling you that Albie Talone will be coming by to tell some, I'm sure, fascinating stories. Give me some quick dirt on this guy.
Well, there's no dirt, so to speak, on this guy. He was a great guy. He was a kindred spirit. He worked his butt off, and he played his horn whenever Bruce needed him on stage. So he dropped his, roadies duties and picked up the horn and went on stage and played with Clarence so that there'd be more of a horn section sound whenever Bruce needed it. So he was a great guy, and I only have good memories working with him.
Really looking forward to that. I'm really pleased that you're here with us today, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Born to Run. I just played Jungleland. That takes me back to the second to last show on the Working on a Dream tour, Baltimore, and Clarence's final performance ever of the song. And it's heartbreaking, but makes me happy that I was fortunate enough to be in the house that night for that. The next show, the last show on that tour, was in Buffalo, and they were performing Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, and you were invited to be a part of that. What was that like for you?
Well, it harkened back to, the beginnings, the humble beginnings of Bruce Springsteen and the band. And obviously you remembered in an instant when you heard Blinded by the Light, when he played that live with the band on stage that night. You were immediately back in the studio at 914 years earlier. And here you are tonight with, 22,000, 23,000 people, in the not the stadium, but in the arena. And you said to yourself, God Almighty, everything did click, everything did work. This was the one. This was the absolute greatest it could have been. From those, incipient stages there when we first recorded Blinded by the Light and the others on Greetings from Asbury Park. So it brought up memories like that in an instant. But then, of course, you said to yourself, Jesus, everything I said came true. everything I blew my, horn and Bruce's horn at the same time came to pass. And so it was a very rewarding experience from that. So I was, very flattered that he had, first of all, asked me and my son, and that it was such a wonderful night. And what was really wonderful was I was standing down off to the right, stage left, if you will, and I was with a lot of people. Like there must have been maybe 1,000 people around me, and Bruce was at center stage, and he went out into the crowd, as he often does during his concerts, and then he came back. But then he walked off to, his right, as he's facing the audience, and the crowd was all reaching for him. There was like this little aisle that was kind of, kept open by the security people, and he sort of walked down that aisle, talking to people and slapping people, and, and it was all very, wonderful and happy and his usual, banter. And he finally comes across like, and I'm like kind of tucked in, but he found me.
He's
and
looking
he smacked
for
me
you.
right on the arm. He smacked me right on the arm.
Lucky he didn't smack you in the head, for crying out loud.
Well, I could have been smacked on the head, but no, he was very generous that evening, and he smacked me on the arm. But, the fact that he even knew where I was, it shows you that he's not up there falling asleep or just doing this as just another concert, as he certainly could have been. I don't know how he keeps it interesting all the time, even though I know certain things he does to keep it interesting. But it's still a work ethic that doesn't exist in rock and roll other than really with Bruce Springsteen. I mean, there are some people that can go out there and do it a little bit, but this is a guy that does a 3.5 hours, 4-hour show every single night of his life on tour, and he's been touring for 40 years. So there is nobody else. This is the one. But you realize the discipline that he has, and the presence of mind that he promotes every night that he's on stage. And you know, like he said when we were at a lunch, he said, "Mike, where am I at 8:00 on Saturday night?" He just blurted that out. I said, "Center stage, Bruce." He said, "That's right," and that's his commitment. That's what he's all about. He's always been all about that, and he hasn't retreated 1 inch in 40 years. And you cannot get that. I mean, I don't know where on earth you can get that. In fact, I'll just make a statement. You can't get that anywhere.
Agree.
He's the guy.
Mike Appel with us this morning as we look back at 40 years of Born to Run. Steve Van Zandt changed the dynamic of a lot of things. What was it like when Steve came in full-time back in 75?
Well, Steve surprised me because there was so many songs, as you know, that Bruce and the band play and have to learn that have nothing to do with their own music. He's got a load of cover songs that he plays with the band that I don't know, there's a couple of hundred. And there's also all of the 3 albums that Steve had to learn as well. And it seemed like a daunting task to me. I said, "Oh, he's never going to be ready." And he said, "Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'll be ready." I said, "How in God's name is that possible, Steve? For God's sake, I'm a guitar player myself. Do you think I don't know what I'm talking about?" and don't worry about it. I'll be ready. I'll be ready. So he gave him a weekend. I don't know. He must have stayed up the entire weekend. That's the only way he could have possibly learned all those riffs, learned all those chord changes, and learned all the singing parts. I mean, it was an enormous task. I couldn't believe it. That's one of the things I always say about Steve Van Zandt. Say what you want about Steve Van Zandt, but I'm going to tell you a little story here. And this means that this guy not only knew a lot of those songs himself, and that's why he could do it even, but he also had a work ethic that was like none that I had seen, other than maybe Bruce up until that time myself. So I said to myself, these guys are cut from the same cloth. They're in the same band. And you say to yourself, well, I guess, kindred spirits, gather together, and like-minded people gather together.
Yeah. Mike Appel with us this morning. Last time you were on, you said, "I'm writing a book." How's that book coming, Mike Appel?
Well, the book is still in it's I wouldn't say it's incipient stages. I've written an awful lot on it, but it's not ready to be released yet. We're not sure of the title. There's been a bunch of titles that have been bandied about, but I don't know which one I'm going to stick with. But it's going to be a good book, and there's a lot of great memories that I had in those years, and a lot of great stories that nobody's ever heard before. Some of them hilariously funny. And other ones not hilarious, some sad ones too. But it's it's a complete smorgasbord of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band in the years when we were just getting started, and none of us realized that we were pioneering. When I did promoted concerts on winging it. I mean, we were in Phoenix, and I just decided to promote a concert. I mean, and I'm not a promoter either. And I just got on the radio that day on the campus and said, "Hey, Bruce Springsteen's going to play a concert tomorrow night." We sold it out. Boom, we did it. I mean, nobody does things like that. You realize you were pioneering in areas that now are, of course, that doesn't happen like that anymore. Everything is so scheduled, so matter of fact, so cut and dry that there is no spontaneity. There's no spontaneity in the music. Nothing seems to be happening that I can say, geez, I just heard a great thing. Oh, man, that killed me,
Well, except for this goofy radio show, you're right, I think.
Yeah, you're right. A funny thing, we're talking about Born to Run, but my father, of course, didn't have a creative bone in his body, and he always used to say he said to my brother one night, he said, make sure when Bruce Springsteen plays the piano in our living room that I'm out of the house. I mean, he was just a guy who was so funny in many ways. But he also said this one time. He said, it must be an extraordinary experience for you to create something from nothing, record it, and then listen back to that awe-inspiring song. And I always said, that's a very interesting, observation by a guy that doesn't have a creative bone in his body, can't sing on key. My mother had all those attributes. And I said, it's true about Born to Run, the song Born to Run. You could say Jungle Land, Thunder Road too, but Born to Run was that first one that was out of the box that we stumbled and kept experimenting and stumbling through. There was really no creative precedent other than, to Do Ron Ron, but if you listen to Do Ron Ron and you listen to Born to Run, there's some extraordinary differences musically as well as lyrically. And when that song was finally finished, and it took us forever, 6 months, when it was finally finished, we just sat there and listened to it, and it was, my God, what a big thing! Jesus, did we do that? And there was just the three of us, me and Bruce and Louis LaHaye, the engineer, and there was those 6 hands on the console that mixed that song that one night where we finally got it right, and we couldn't change a thing.
Right.
We kept listening to it to see if we could find something to change, but that was it. Done.
Beautiful. Mike Appel, for crying out loud. Now, finish the book and then come see us live in person, will you, please?
Love to do that, Tommy.
All right.
Always great to be a guest.
Appreciate your time. That's Mike Appel.